Hello everyone, my name is Eva and I am a book coach, a publication assistant, a ghostwriter, and an author. Here are a few of my titles. I'll put the links in the description if you want to check those out. But I am here to tell you why you need to write a book. Yes, you. Why you need to write a book and get your story heard. I'm going to discuss 3 main reasons. So let's get started. All right, so in no particular order, the first reason why you should write a book is because it is your legacy. I've mentioned before in a couple of my other videos that over 80% of Americans say they want to write a book one day, and a very small percentage actually do. Why? Because the writing process is incredibly intimidating. Not only do you have to, organize your thoughts, you have to make sure your spelling and grammar are correct. You have to make sure your story is coherent. And then once you do write it, you wonder to yourself, is anybody going to care? Is anybody going to read it? And I am here to say, yes, absolutely. People are going to read your story because we need more perspectives in writing for sure. Now, part of the legacy is that once you write a book, it's something that can never be taken away from you. You publish it, it's out there for the world, and that is essentially a part of you, your thoughts, your conceptualizations. Sometimes I get clients who say they've had this book or manuscript or idea in the works for years and they never finished it because they get stuck. And it definitely happens. We get stuck. We don't want to read it anymore. We become, frightened by the process. And that's where people like myself come in, get the manuscript, help finish it up, and get it published so it can get into the hands of readers where it belongs. Now, unbeknownst to me, I wrote my first books were written as a way to help heal myself and also to help heal other people. But what I sort of didn't initially realize is that the legacy that I will be leaving behind, because not only is my daughter watching me write, she started writing herself. My other family members got interested in the process, and I'm essentially able to open up my talents and abilities to help other people leave their legacy, because you want to be able to write your own story. You don't want 50, 100 years from now, your children's children and your children's children's children not to know who their people are, or not to have any sort of remnants or relics of their history. So you write today for the future, if that makes any sense. You are literally writing for your future. And when I think about great authors and great poets, Maya Angelou, Langston Hughes, any of the great American authors, the list goes on and on. Zora Neale Hurston, one of my favorites. What if they never wrote those books? What if they never had the energy or the sort of the will to write those books? We would really be missing out. They have left us something so beautiful, and those are thoughts and conceptualization. So number 1, your book is your legacy. Okay, moving on. Number 2, you need to write a book because it is a self-investment. Yes. So no matter if you are working a day job, if you are working as an entrepreneur, or no matter what the case may be, if you're retired, if you're a student and you haven't found your way yet at all, your book is an investment in yourself because it increases your credibility in whatever field you are working in. So, for example, I'm an author. I have several published titles. Would you come to me for ghostwriting help or punctuation assistance or publication assistance if I didn't have any books? Hopefully not. So many people make some mistakes and they hire people who are not actually writers to help them write. We'll discuss that in a completely different video, but it helps increase your credibility in your field. So for example, I get a lot of clients who are like professional development coaches, for example, and they are essentially making a blueprint. They've gained experience in their field, and now they want to have something tangible for their clients and to also reference when they're not available. This builds credibility in their field. Again, if you can present yourself as a published author to the world, people are going to take notice of that, because again, a very small part of the American population are writers or authors, and even a smaller portion that are actually published. So boom, there you go. And let's go ahead and roll into number 3. The third reason why you, yes, you need to write a book is for the sake of diversity. Now, let me tell you, let me just read you this statistic so I don't get it incorrectly. But in 2020, so 2020, there were 44,000 writers and authors working in the United States. Can you guess what percentage of writers of the 44,000 are Black? And how many do you think are white? And how many do you think are of any other demographic? So of the breakdown, you can talk percentages. I'll give you a second. Okay. So the answer is 80% of authors and writers in the US identify as white. Yes, so that means 4 out of every 5 books you read are written by someone who is white. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that there's anything wrong with this. Well, actually, I am saying that there's something wrong with it. A lack of diversity in writing. 11% identify as Black. Okay, so that leaves just what, 9% of people who identify as something other than Black and white who are writing books. This is huge. Like when I read this, I was like, oh my goodness. And of these percentages, let's see, let me read a little bit more. The median age of writers is 42 years old. Okay, so if we put all this together, there is a lack of diversity, a lack of different backgrounds, experiences. We all know that people of different racial backgrounds have a different set of circumstances and experiences from each other. So we are missing a huge chunk of the country being represented as authors, and I am here to help change that. So I absolutely love when I get clients from different ethnic backgrounds, different socioeconomic backgrounds. So for example, one of my clients was a 8th or 9th grader, and he decided to write a book. Now, he wrote the manuscript on his own. He just gave it to me. Well, I'm working through his mother, of course, but they gave the manuscript to me. I proofread it. I helped him create a cover, and we published it on Amazon. Lord have mercy. He's a Hispanic teenager. So, I mean, all kinds of amazing. I was so impressed with this kid, and he had a really good book. I was like really impressed. So these are the kind of folks that I love working with. Another example, African-American gentleman who had been incarcerated for most of his life, telling his story. Absolutely amazing. These are different perspectives that, you know, you don't really hear about. We have so many different books and perspectives and genres, and I think that there needs to be more of the minority voices being heard, definitely. So what I'm going to do is put a link to my website in the description. You can contact me if you have any ideas, if you've written a manuscript and you just need somebody to take a look at it, a second pair of eyes. The editing process is always really important. I'm gonna do another video, that's an entire other video on editing, but you need to let your voice be heard, not only for yourself, but for the rest of us who are starving for content from people who look like us. So, that being said, don't delay. Grab your pen, get writing, call me. All right, until next time.